Hello and welcome back to the Pod Awakens, a Star Wars fan podcast. My name is Jordan Wiegand, and I have our co-host Logan Stump.
Hello. Hi.
That's, I think, the first time you didn't say howdy, so
Dang it.
we're on the right track.
I'm not a space cowboy like I thought I was.
So, um, big show today. Big show. Some rumors broke just a few hours ago before we recorded again. That's 2 weeks in a row. And then we have some other stuff happened like right after we recorded, I guess. I think this Colin Trevorrow stuff was probably on Tuesday or Monday. It was recent, very recent, but not a few days ago. We're recording on Friday, January 17th, for those of you who are interested. So if any big story breaks or confirmation breaks of some of this stuff, that's why you're not hearing it, because it probably won't be until later this week that we post this. So where to start? Let's start with the good news. George Lucas was on set of The Mandalorian Season 2. They have a picture of him holding little baby Yoda.
It's adorable.
Like a grandfather, just holding his little baby. Grandkid. Jon Favreau shared that picture on Twitter earlier today, or about 22 hours ago, so I guess late last night. But yeah, interesting. He was on set in Season 1 as well, and he's been on set for a lot of the movies. I think the only one he may not have visited was Force Awakens. I think at that time it was still very fresh of his anger that he didn't go see that get filmed. But super excited. I love George. I like him being involved still, even if he's not providing a lot of the story anymore. I think it's cool that he's there. He's really, like, he calls Dave Filoni one of his adopted children. So obviously there's a lot of love for him there. So no surprise he's on set of The Mandalorian with Dave being such a big part of that show. And I'm sure anytime Dave has a question, he could probably ask George an answer, and we might have gotten some stuff in like Rebels and maybe in The Mandalorian that they run by him and say, hey, would force healing be a thing? Right. we don't know. Or is it okay if we put Yoda's species in there? Because George was always so protective of Yoda's species. Never gave it a name. That's why we have to call him Baby Yoda. Never gave us a history of where they're from, or what the name of the species is, and he kind of always held that close to the vest. So maybe Dave was able to get some of that information straight from George. A lot of people think that people that don't know, when he was first writing Star Wars, he actually was calling it the Journal of the Whills, Whills, and some people think that maybe the Yoda species are the Whills, which I think would be really cool, tying that back into the larger universe and the Force, especially because it seems like this species has such a big tie to the Force. We've only seen 3 of them, and they've all been Force wielders, so right. I think that's pretty interesting.
Yeah, I think that it's cool to see like him still playing a big part, and maybe it's because I think maybe he sees that Mandalorian is kind of that old feel to it, and I think he might actually like the idea of the story itself. I think that originally, I mean, he brings in the Mandalorian, obviously, and he's the one that directs it in and writes it in, and they end up being big and even bigger now that the Mandalorian's on Disney Plus. So I think it's cool to see him still have a little bit of his touch with Star Wars, even though he might not be fully blown into what they think about writing and stuff.
Right.
That's cool.
I wouldn't mind if he sneaks in and does the directing of one of these season 2 episodes.
That'd be cool.
I never really disliked the man like a lot of people. Yeah. And I really watched a horrible documentary called The People versus George Lucas. It's a very
Mhm.
bad documentary where all these people just say that he like ruined their childhood. It's and how much stuff he had to deal with, you know.
Yeah.
Kind of like what we're seeing now with just how everybody on a lot of stuff I see on Twitter with people really mad at like JJ or
Yeah.
people Ryan and
Right.
just George had to go through it too. The guy who plays Jar Jar, Ahmed Best, had to go through it and contemplated suicide. Kelly Marie Tran, who
Mhm.
plays Rose, she had to get it. It's something about the Star Wars, I guess, that makes people very rude online. I don't know
Yes.
what it
I
is.
don't know what is it with the fan base. Because I'm part of the Harry Potter fan base and part of the Marvel fan base. But man, the Star Wars fan base is ruthless.
Brutal.
Horrible.
Absolutely brutal. Yeah.
I don't get it.
Yeah, I don't know either. We got some other good news, if it's true, because we do have a response to this news. But Taika Waititi, according to Hollywood Reporter, director of Thor Ragnarok, voiced IG-11, directed the finale of The Mandalorian, is being courted for a Star Wars movie. Now, they don't know if this movie is the Kevin Feige movie.
Mm-hmm.
Could be. They have a prior history of working. He probably trusts, Feige probably trusts him. This also says it's not going to, of course, put any sort of hold on Thor: Love and Thunder or his next movie, which is in post-production already, called Next Goal Wins for Fox Searchlight Pictures. It's a small-budget dramedy about soccer, and it's actually based off a true story. It is it's about the American Samoa national football team or soccer team, and Taika is making a movie based on that. There's also a documentary with the same name, I think. But Thomas Rongen is a former he's a former scout to the U.S. national team. He was an MLS coach. He's played, but he was the coach of the American Samoa team that tried to qualify for the 2014 World Cup, but and I don't think they actually got it done.
Right.
But a very good story, and I remember following this as it was actually going on in real life. So really cool that Taika's working on that too. So nothing really affecting his. Some people tried to say that this is going to push Thor back or whatever, but they're going to be starting that later this year. They're starting Thor I think in the fall or late summer, because that has to come out November of next year. So now Taika posted on Twitter the Fleetwood Mac album cover of their hit album Rumors with no other comments. So I don't know if he's just trying to say that this is rumors or not, but it's pretty interesting to see how that shakes out. I'm all for it.
Yeah, I mean, especially when you watch Ragnarok, and this is the best Thor out of all of them. So it would be interesting to see what he does with it.
Yeah. Especially after seeing he does have some history in Star Wars now with doing The Mandalorian, so he's got that. Let's see here what we got. And then the big news, I guess. Semi-big news, not really. The Rise of Skywalker concept art has been leaking out, which is going to lead us into the story, because I think some of these concept arts might come from another version of the script that is now hitting the web. But before we get to that, let's get to the last news of the Rise of Skywalker, which is I think they're announcing that the date that the Blu-ray is going to be available. Let me see if I can locate that article. April 13th of 2020 is the date for the Blu-ray, with it hitting digital March 31st.
So I wonder when. I wonder if that means that it goes right onto Disney Plus as if they wait.
No, they'll wait. Yeah, they waited for. They've been waiting for some movies that have already. Like Toy Story 4 was already on Blu-ray when Disney Plus launched, and that is just now coming on to Disney Plus. So I'm thinking you're looking at July or August maybe for it to be hitting Disney Plus. So I want to make sure that they ship as many and sell as many of these Blu-rays as they can before they put it on Disney Plus, I think.
Right. Did you also see that? I didn't know. I saw it earlier today on Twitter that Mark Hamill's was. I don't know if he did stream or he's going to stream, where he was on Fortnite playing with the new Rise of Skywalker stuff.
No, I didn't see that.
I was like, wait, what? Supposedly he was supposed to, but I don't know if he ever did, because this was tweeted a while ago, back in December. But they said sometime this month they think that he's gonna live stream playing with the Rise of Skywalker, different add-ons that they have in Fortnite, and Mark Hamill's gonna be with them. So that's pretty interesting. It's like I can imagine Mark Hamill doing stuff like that. I just he's been pretty honest about some of this stuff. I just don't picture him being much of a gamer. So that was pretty funny. But March 31st is what you said?
March 31st on digital and April 13th on Blu-ray and DVD.
It's like tomorrow, isn't it?
It'll go fast. Yeah, it'll definitely go fast. I mean, if I think about it this way, my next trip down to Disney World, I will be able to watch that on the airplane on my phone because I will already have it on Blu-ray.
Right. It'd be the best though. That's the best way to spend time on an airplane.
Oh yeah.
Just don't have to worry about anything. Just watch
2-hour flight, 2-hour movie. It's perfect. And actually, you know what? I don't actually think I'm flying down, so I actually am driving down.
Oh.
So I have 14 hours to kill, actually. So that's I can watch it 7 or 8 times, right? And I will. Thank you. I'm actually. It's supposed to snow here tomorrow.
Yeah.
If it wasn't, or if it's light, I'm really thinking of going and seeing it my third time. I haven't gotten a chance to go see it the third time, but I got a gift card for Christmas for a movie. So I might go see it because it's been a month almost.
Mm-hmm.
I'm itching to go see this movie again, so I'm excited.
It's a good movie.
No, it is.
You should definitely go. It's worth it.
Yeah, we'll see. Maybe Sunday if the snow is gone by then. One last rumor. I almost forgot to talk about this because we talked about it before the show and I thought we already did. But so what just broke a little bit earlier ago today that nobody really knows is true or fake. Some people that are reputable have tried to reach out to get confirmation and are hearing conflicting reports for what it's worth. But most people think it's still good to go. There was stuff going around Twitter today saying that Ewan McGregor was walking away from Obi-Wan, the series on Disney Plus, due to creative differences. Where I think this doesn't make any sense is the script's already been written for a while, and he's been attached for 4 years. So something must have really gone wrong because it's supposed to start filming, I think, in 3 or 4 months. So I can't see it being the case. So I guess we'll wait to see if anything comes out about this. I'd be so disappointed if so. We went from bearded Jar Jar to this in a week, and that's pretty disappointing. I need my bearded Jar Jar in my Obi-Wan series, please. I need it. Any thoughts on that? Would you be upset, or are you just...
I would probably cry a couple times because he's always been my favorite, and especially Ewan. And the thing about it is I don't see him as being somebody that the creative differences interfere with his
creative differences. He wouldn't have done any of the prequels.
Yeah, I don't get it.
As much as I love those movies, I mean, I don't see how he could have.
They probably were like, dude, you wait until you see the special effects on this movie, and then they just kept doing it to him. Like, no, just wait. You haven't seen anything yet. So no, I don't know. I feel like if something was dead, it would be bigger than what it is, because I only see a couple of people that have come out and said it.
Yeah, I unless if they're waiting to announce it.
Yeah.
But there's not much time to wait to announce this.
Right.
We're going to be getting going in a few months, so might as well.
Yeah.
Unless if they think maybe it can still be repaired, too. You don't know.
Right.
If it is true, maybe they think they can still work it out and they're not announcing it.
Right.
Like the Doctor Strange, when they... that seems to have happened back in December, most likely, and we just got word of it last week. Because of some of Scott Derrickson's tweets that could be deciphered. It seems like maybe it was actually already going through rewrites that, and they already knew there was an issue back in like October or November. So I think they might think if this actually has any merit, that they think they can work it out so there's no announcement yet. So we'll see. I guess.
That or the creative difference was that they brought Jar Jar back, and he just became so developed as a character that they've decided, and they're going to announce it.
They're like, you know what? We're actually changed. That's what they were telling you, and they're changing the title to Jar Jar, and he was like, I'm walking out.
Yeah, I'm done. I'm done with you people. So no, I don't know. Like I feel like this is like a big opportunity for him. Just because I think that people adored him. Like out of those three movies, I think that his reprises his Obi-Wan is basically what saved Obi-Wan from being obsolete. Like if you would have got a really bad character in there or just a really bad storyline with him, I think it would have just destroyed everything that people knew about Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
So.
And I guess if it was to not go through, yes, I've been clamoring for this, but I think Obi-Wan's story is also well enough alone that we don't need it, but I want it, is the thing. Right. If I want Ewan as Obi-Wan, I can always go back to 1 through 3 if I need to. But I'm hoping and praying that this thing continues going through.
Maybe we just call Liam Neeson and ask if he'd like to do a Qui-Gon.
Yeah. Oh, I'd be down for it. Like de-age him and just. Yeah, that'd be pretty cool.
I think like it'd be cool to have him like chasing like these kidnappers through the galaxy to find his daughter that they've kidnapped. I just think that would be a really good story.
Oh, taken to the stars.
We didn't talk about one thing I totally forgot about until I was flipping through Twitter looking at concept art. Today also Rise of the Resistance. Well, it rose over in Disney.
Oh yeah, it's right in Anaheim. Yeah. Yeah, I saw somebody post that it was okay. I was like, what?
Is it different?
No, it's the same thing.
Crack.
Yeah. No, I just think it was I don't know.
I'm gonna start like posting those real cold takes.
Yeah, you know what? It helps probably get you some retweets. And likes.
We'll be the cold take podcast. We'll just have really horrible takes.
Oh man, no, that's already all of ESPN and stuff with.
Oh, that's true.
Stephen A. Smith and everything.
Yeah,
we'll be the Stephen A. Smith of Star Wars.
Could you imagine? The lighting in that place is just brutal. I just. Your guys' thoughts about Kylo Ren, I just don't see where you guys place him in the top 3 of all-time villains.
Oh, boy. So let's get into the nitty-gritty, right?
Good stuff.
So this article came out on the 15th. Oh, so it was like 2 or 3 days ago. And there was an article the next day that kind of broke it down a little bit more on makingstarwars.net. So I'm going to kind of read that article first. It's kind of how it went from Duel of the Fates to Rise of Skywalker, and then we're going to kind of see what the differences are between them. But for people that don't know, because I don't know if a lot of people do that don't follow this as much, or maybe came into Star Wars a little later. But the guy who did Jurassic World, Colin Trevorrow, was originally attached in 2015 to write and direct what is now The Rise of Skywalker, Episode 9. He brought on Derek Connolly, who he wrote Jurassic World with, and they, got to work. Apparently, what this Making Star Wars says here is they wrote a few drafts, and Lucasfilm rejected the Trevorrow and Connolly's general direction. Jack Thorne. Harry Potter fans might know who Mr. Jack Thorne is. He wrote Cursed Child, the Broadway play that got a lot of flack. So, who better to bring in than the guy who really didn't get Harry Potter, I don't think. Look, here comes the Harry Potter podcast right now.
We're switching over now.
We're switching right now. Hold on. This is the Cursed Child podcast, the Boy Who Lived podcast, whatever you want to call it. But I read Cursed Child about a year and a half ago for the first time. I heard all the flack that it got, and I was like, it can't be that bad, right? It can't. So I read it, and while I was reading it, I enjoyed most of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the more I sat with it, it was like the opposite of Rise of Skywalker, which I did enjoy Rise of Skywalker, but the more I thought about it, the more I liked it. The more I sat on Cursed Child and thought about it, even just hours after I read it, the more it started to bother me.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there were certain things in that book that in the play that made me kind of like, I don't know if I like that part, like the time turner stuff. Mm-hmm. I do like time travel, but the fact that they had to go back to some of those same nights we've already seen, it really didn't feel like it was standing on its own. It was very like almost nostalgia driven. Of let's take you on a journey through some of Harry's stuff, but we're angling it through his kid.
Right.
Some of the stuff I really enjoyed. The fact that Harry's kid was a Slytherin. I thought that's a very interesting dynamic. But then there was some forced, well, I'm a Slytherin and he was a Gryffindor, I'll never live up to it, and all that kind of stuff. Some of the Draco stuff was kind of bad, I think, in that, because Draco and Harry, I thought, had kind of gotten along better near the end of it. And it seems like in this, there's still that contention in this book, so it didn't really make any sense. And just the more I thought about it, the more I was like, I didn't like that, I didn't like that. And, who better to bring in than Jack Thorne, who wrote one of the most controversial things of a beloved franchise. I think that's
right.
It's weird that they went right to him. I don't know what made them do that. I mean, that was kind of around the time of Cursed Child, so maybe they were just trying to... It's the same thing when they announced Colin Trevorrow. That was right after, Jurassic World became the #1 movie of all time. Right. So I feel like they were just kind of trying to get names at times. So they said Jack Thorne was brought into a complicated situation and did the best job he could considering the mess they were in. Michelle Rejwan, who's a producer, is said to have gotten Abrams to return without a schedule change, and the script went back to a new starting point. On his YouTube show, Robert Meyer Burnett broke down the first draft Trevorrow and Connolly wrote in a lot of detail. That's what we're going to be getting to, that first draft. Yesterday, Making Star Wars, in the article, it's yesterday. In our time, it's a few days ago. Yesterday, I published my notes on the final draft by Trevorrow and Connolly. So that is Making Star Wars saying that. Then he interviewed some Pinewood sources. Pinewood Studios is where they film. What follows, what I'm about to say, are sources at Pinewood that Making Star Wars trust. We don't know. We don't know how true it is. A lot of this was also in that Robert Meyer Burnett's show on YouTube, who had a legit copy of this script.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so let's kind of get down. Pinewood Studio sources on the Duel of Fates. In the opening crawl, we learn that the First Order has cut off all communication between planets to quell a rising rebellion inspired by Luke Skywalker. The Resistance mission is to reopen communication and call the galaxy to war. This makes sense because at the end of The Last Jedi, we see that Luke Skywalker has inspired, Broom Boy and all those kids there. In the opening sequence, the Resistance steals a ship full of old Imperial weapons and vehicles. During this heist, Finn sees a fallen stormtrooper without his helmet. He recognizes him, reigniting his internal conflict when it comes to killing his fellow brothers and sisters in arms. Luke's Force Ghost appears several times throughout, both training Rey and haunting Kylo.
Mm-hmm.
He then literally fights alongside Rey in the finale. The Emperor was only seen as a hologram at the beginning. Kylo goes to Vader's abandoned castle, where he finds a holocron with a contingency plan left for Vader in the event Palpatine was struck down by Luke in Return of the Jedi. Palpatine's message tells Vader to send Luke to be trained by an ancient creature who is strong with the dark side. He will then learn to extract the living force from crude matter. Mastering this skill will allow Kylo to absorb the living force from the heart of Mortis and achieve absolute power. Mortis is a planet in the Clone Wars that has a lot of force history. To find Mortis and stop Kylo, Rey, Poe, and Chewie go to a new planet that looked like a night market on mountains in water, like Thailand.
Mm-hmm.
There was a similar scene to Babu Frick's, where they go to a tiny Force-sensitive alien who can read Rey's vision of Mortis and draw a map to it. Meanwhile, Finn, Rose, and the original trilogy droids, R2 and 3PO, go to the enemy-occupied Coruscant to activate an ancient beacon in the old Jedi Temple to call the galaxy to war. They succeed at first, but the message is cut off and they are captured. Finn is sent to a prisoner of war camp, and Rose is interrogated by Hux. Hux was a villain, not a Resistance spy. There's a funny scene where he's alone, and we see him trying to move a coin with the Force, envious of others who have this gift. When he tries to extract info from Rose's mind, she laughs at him. In the end, he kills himself with a lightsaber he keeps in a collector's case. He had several vintage lightsabers he had acquired over the years, part of his Force envy, as Rose calls it. The Knights of Ren had names and Force abilities. Rey fights them on the night market planet, on a moving structure of spaceship landing pads. In this sequence, it is revealed that Rey's parents, who were nobodies, were killed by Kylo and the Knights of Ren. When Rey learns this, she kills one of the knights with Force lightning, her anger drawing her further to the dark side. Rey and Poe had an attraction that intensifies during their adventure together. It is complicated by Rey's vision that she will die on Mortis, and her undeniable connection to Kylo. There's an emotional scene where Rey Jedi mind tricks Poe to leave her and go help the Resistance. She goes to Mortis alone. Kylo trains under a Sith creature, kind of like a dark side Yoda, as they describe him, on a Mercury planet. Here, he enters a Force cave where he fights Darth Vader and loses. When he finally masters the new Force ability, he kills the Sith creature with his power, drawing the life from him. Kylo seems irredeemable at this point. In the prison camp on Coruscant, Finn connects with the stormtrooper guarding him. When Finn escapes the prison, this stormtrooper saves him, taking off his helmet like Finn once did. Others join, and this becomes Finn's army. The final ground battle was led by Finn and the reformed stormtroopers on the streets of Coruscant, now the occupied First Order capital city. The Resistance joins in with the stolen Imperial vehicles, painted with their own revolutionary colors. There is a simultaneous air battle above the city led by Poe. Lando's role was different. They find him operating a club for First Order officers to drink after hours, Casablanca style. He declines Poe's request to help at first and then arrives with People's Squadron from around the galaxy like in Rise of Skywalker. In a street battle, R2 is destroyed. C-3PO puts R2's memory drive into BB-8, who has to race across the streets to get it to Rose, who needs the data to calibrate the capital ship's hyperdrive to fly directly into a star. The explosion is seen around the galaxy, acting as the beacon, calling the people to revolution. In the confrontation on Mortis, Rey is blinded and left to die at the steps of the temple. Luke's Force Ghost appears to confront Kylo.
Skylo, yeah.
Skylo, yeah, that's a cool name. As Luke intones the words spoken by Obi-Wan, the Force binds us together. Rey is given strength by all of her friends in battle on Coruscant, Poe, Finn, and Rose. As they all connect through the Force, she rises and fights Kylo blindfolded, trusting her instincts. In his last moments, Kylo tells Rey her full name, Rey Solana. Rey dies. She rises to the astral plane where Yoda, Luke, Obi-Wan, and Anakin are waiting. Together they return her to life. She must train a new generation of Jedi. The galaxy believes Rey is gone, but Finn believes she will return. Finn and Rose take all of the Force-sensitive youth to a remote homestead to wait for her. The Broom Boy is among the children here. R2's memory drive is repaired. Leia, Chewie, and 3PO watch as R2 cycles through all the holograms he ever recorded. Leia brings back the Senate and becomes the galaxy's new leader. In the final scene, Rey returns to Finn's remote homestead to train the next generation of Jedi, and that was called the Duel of the Fates. So this is kind of a combination of the first draft and the final draft. It's a lot of the stuff I had read before. What are your thoughts on the Duel of the Fates?
There are so many things. Like, there's some aspects that I actually liked. And then obviously there's probably, like, if anybody goes and like mentions all sorts of Star Wars stuff that I eventually, like, good writers and stuff, I'd be like, oh yeah, I like that. That'd be cool to see. But then there's just parts that are just like, that would have been so flawed, which I don't think people looked at. One, I had a big issue with the Carrie Fisher Leia stuff, because I'm like, because from what I understood, the whole like set of like stuff they had left for Carrie Fisher was when she's on that on that planet where they first start out and she never leaves. So that'd be like the first thing. I'd be like, okay, so first of all, you would have had to some kind of CGI or something to be able to bring
some of these like the first draft is actually written a week before Carrie's death, so some of this is probably what caused him to leave, I guess.
Right.
Maybe he couldn't rework it,
right? And that's the thing, that like that's what they go, this could change over a couple of years, but I don't know, there was just so much of it and I'm like, okay, well, it kind of seems cliche where she dies and then comes back. I'm like, okay, well, but then I guess so does Ben, sort of. But like, I don't know, I just didn't agree with a lot of it. Like you and I were talking about, I think we got a better story from Rise of Skywalker. And just what part bothers me the most is Rose being at the center of attention. I don't see where her storyline even would have affected anything there.
It seems like it's a continuation of Episode 8 storyline with her and Finn being split together and them causing more rebellion across the galaxy. But one thing I
put the three together or four together.
Right, that's what I really don't like about. I wanted to mind Rose going along with everybody else, but my main thing was I wanted Finn, Rey, and Poe together. Because here's what would be the most crazy thing. is Finn had incredible chemistry with Rey and Poe in Force Awakens. So you're almost telling me that in the next two movies he wouldn't hang out with them at all?
Right.
Kind of crazy to think that. I mean, I don't really know what else to say about that part.
I think you get an interesting, with the script that leaked, I do think you get a better, I think Kylo's story is a little bit more deep and more polished than what he ended up being. Because I do think you leave some plot holes. Because I read one thing that was like, that was interesting, that Luke would have haunted him instead of like kind of like Han haunting him the whole time.
I did want Luke to haunt him just for the see you around kid when he was in The Last Jedi. I think that would have really worked well. But let me see here. So this is in the first draft. This is how Kylo Ren would end his thing here. Well, one, he almost becomes like almost full machine, to be honest. Mm-hmm. He has this big scar, and he almost breaks up like Mandalorian armor and melts it onto his skin or something, which would have been really weird. So I'm glad we didn't get that.
I saw one where it's like he's really, 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 really dark, like really bad.
Yeah, that would be this one, the first draft. Let's see here. So some of the stuff is almost the same. Leia reaches out to Kylo, but at this point, it's right before Kylo can kill Rey. Okay. Mm-hmm. He feels what Vader felt when confronted with Luke's pain and grabs Rey's hand, returning her life force. Both the light and the dark swirl within Rey as Kylo is reduced to an empty shell. In his dying breath, Kylo reveals Rey's last name, Solana. He dies. So he was dark this whole time, and actually here too, Luke, Yoda, Obi-Wan, all talk to as ghosts, all appear to Kylo, trying to turn him back to the light, and he says, nah.
Yeah, I'm good.
But then Leia reaches out to him, and he's like, you know what, I'll just bring Rey back to life or whatever. I'll tell her last name, and then peace, I'm dead.
Right. Your last name's Solana because I killed your parents.
And that's another thing. Why, if she is a nobody, why was he tasked to kill her parents?
Maybe they were like, these aren't the people you're looking for, and they went and looked for somebody else.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just very strange. And actually, in the timeline of everything, I think he would have been 15 at the time that Rey's left alone. Yeah. And he doesn't turn dark until 23, so it still didn't make any sense. Hux being like General Grievous with collecting lightsabers is kind of weird.
That was the weird one, too. I was like, killing himself? Like, that would have been a really weird thing to just place into a movie that didn't really ever kind of surround it with those kind of morals and logic. Now we're talking about depression, and like that turns dark real quick.
And here's a line from Yoda in the script or something close to it. When Rey is kind of dying, she says, "Is this death?" Obi-Wan says, "In this place, there's no such thing as death." Yoda reveals Rey succeeded where they failed. Luke says, "You chose to embrace the dark side and the light, to find the balance within." So she's almost like using light and dark, and everybody's just okay with it and saying that, oh, that's the true balance.
Jedi, yeah.
Like and I don't like that. I don't really like that.
It would have been weird. I don't know. Like, it's kind of like one of the, you know what I pictured when you told me that? I was like, you know what I'm thinking? I'm thinking of like when Dumbledore is like, and he goes, Harry's like, where are we? And he goes, I don't know. Where do you think we are? And he goes, I don't know. Kind of looks like King Cross Station.
Yeah.
I was just thinking of like Obi-Wan and Yoda.
Where would Rey's be? Where would Rey's be? Would it be inside the Star Destroyer that she lived in, or the AT-AT that she lived in?
Yeah.
It looks like Jakku.
Yeah.
You're right, Ray.
Yeah.
Good job.
I guess this is Jakku. Ugh.
We are both here and not here. Um. Let's see here. I'm just trying to skim some stuff.
Wasn't one of it too that who is it that Poe and Rey end up together?
Yeah. Or they have a relationship.
Yeah, it's weird.
Chewie flies an X-wing. Why? His place is in the Falcon.
I was like,
I don't know. When people say that Rise of Skywalker is a lot of fan service, I feel like this would be a lot of fan service.
Yes.
The fact that Kylo would have to have like Mandalorian armor put on him at some point. The fact that Chewie would fly an X-wing, Coruscant, the Mortis planet being, because that's a big storyline in the Clone Wars. Here's one thing that kills me as well here. Lando in this.
Mm-hmm.
So they go to a cabaret club owned by Lando, and all of his clients are first order clients.
Yeah.
And he at one point in this it says, okay, he takes Leia to the docking bay and says she needs to leave since he can't protect her. Leia keeps urging him to join the fight, and Lando says, "We won a war once already. What good did that do?" He kisses her on the forehead and declines. What the hell, man?
Lando's up to his old tricks again.
I mean, I much prefer give Leia my love, you know, than that. Right. And oh man, and when Rey says give it to her yourself, I was like, man, this is a really taking a turn
here. A different kind of movie.
I laughed in the theater at that. I was like, waiting for somebody to say something.
The Wookiee would have been there too. It would have been really weird.
Yeah, you know. So in this first version as well, there would have been Palpatine's master, which a lot of people know as Darth Plagueis, Darth Plagueis the Wise and all that. In this, he would have been called Tor Valum. And Kylo asks if he trained Plagueis, and Valum says, "That name means nothing to me." Kylo threatens him, and Valum says, "You wish to obtain the powers of those who came before. Take your place among the gods of Mortis." That's a no from me. So,
and it has that reminiscence of like Obi-Wan going, "I haven't heard that name in a long time." It's kind of like, okay, we get it. You're gonna overuse that.
And my issue with this too is if people complain about Palpatine coming out of nowhere, they should be complaining about this Tor Valum guy coming out of nowhere in the last movie of the saga.
Who's supposedly Darth Plagueis. Who's
right? Maybe he denies it.
Yeah. Right.
But yeah, you're right. It could be read as that as well. Here's some of the stuff I think is really close to being the same thing we got. So we do get the fact that they have to rally the galaxy together.
Mm-hmm.
We get Lando coming back at the end with all the ships. We get Rey dying and Kylo bringing her back to life. We get some sort of stormtrooper rebellion with the people on Kef Bir, like Jaina and all of her stormtrooper friends. So obviously, there's a reason why, if you look at the credits of Rise of Skywalker, you will see a story by credit for Derek Connolly and what's his name? It's Colin Trevorrow, and it's because I think of stuff like this, right? We're getting the Knights of Ren still playing a big part, like they don't play that big of a part in Rise of Skywalker, but they're in there, unlike any of the other movies. If you replace Tor Valum with Palpatine, you get a lot of the same sort of stuff.
Yeah.
The whole focus being on like removing the Force from living beings. That's almost like the Force life thing that we get with them, healing each other.
Right.
So Leia trying to confront Kylo and save him. So we obviously got a lot of the bare bones stuff, I think, the same. But I really like what they did in Rise of Skywalker more than this. Yes, I would love to see Coruscant because we haven't seen it since Episode 3.
Mm-hmm.
And it'd be cool to see the old Jedi Temple. But I also want new planets, too. I don't always want to go to the same ones.
Right. Who's in Mustafar? Because they said somebody was in Mustafar, too.
Mustafar, I mean, he does go to Mustafar at the beginning of Rise of Skywalker to get the Wayfinder. Yeah. And this is kind of like the same start. He would have, instead of going there for the Wayfinder, it would have been a Sith holocron that had the other stuff. That would have told him to seek out Tor Valum, and then that leads that. But instead, it's a Wayfinder that leads to Palpatine. So, again, a lot of the bare bones stuff is the same. But...
And he said something about, too, that he was going to have to, as part of his last test with Tor Valum, it was kind of like, you got to fight Vader, like a version of Vader. And it's like this, I don't know what it would have been, I guess, for the Force Ghost. I have no idea.
It would have been just like Luke facing Vader in the Dagobah cave, but they're trying to... So that would have been another callback, right? So I think there is still a lot of... it's not a lot of new stuff in here. Interesting, the villain changes in the final draft. So that first draft had Tor Valum. Mm-hmm. In this draft, the last draft, according to Making Star Wars, the bad guy was a girl named I don't have it on here. Hold on. Her name was close to that Solana thing. It's called Solony Wren. Here it is. Sollony Wren. Solony?
Yeah, that sounds about right.
They said a Darth Maul-like character. I don't know what that means. She kind of, I don't know. This last draft has a lot of different things here. In this draft, Leia does die, and she fades away with the Force, so this is their attempt to write the same movie they were trying to write, but with Leia no longer around because of Carrie's passing. Mm-hmm. We get a new... it says Rey has a new goal at the midpoint of the movie. From the Jedi text, she learns of an ancient form of communication before the Old Republic called the Spire of Isis. A sacred chamber to prevent any Sith from using it. Only a Jedi must enter. But the key parts of this are all still the same, with the people being split into those two groups. Lando still denying the call. Huck still killing himself, I think, here. Chewie in his X-Wing with BB-8. Still the last name Solana. I don't get what it means, right? Why would
it doesn't make sense?
Remember her parents' name from years ago? She's a nobody. I don't get that.
It just doesn't make sense. Like, if I really do. I'm wondering about the people that, and there's a lot of people out there that think this is way better than what we got.
There are. I wish we could get somebody on here with that, because I don't get it.
I don't see the story. Like, I know how stories go, and that would be like going, okay, well then, what? Wait, what? If you were talking about loopholes, or not, the plot holes, it's like, dude, there are so many here. And it's almost like, oh, you want it to be this? Well, it just turns out to be like this own like little independent movie that had nothing to do with anything. It was like, okay, well, I guess these characters weren't really anything, really. And the droids going by themselves, and like, what? There's so many issues with this that would have Just
and here's more
really
fan
bad.
service. Bosk. He's the bounty hunter, the Trandoshan bounty
Yeah.
hunter. He's at a den when he sees the projection of Leia's message and wants to join.
Yeah.
Bosk, the guy who was helping the Empire as a bounty
Mhm.
hunter, wants to join the fight against the First Order.
Yeah.
That's just throwing in old characters for the sake of it, you know? I mean, look, I'll be 100% honest. I would probably dig this if we had gotten this without what we've seen, because I wouldn't know any better.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, this could probably work. But knowing what we got, I'll take Rise of Skywalker over this 100 times. I do like the title Rise of Skywalker. I also like the title Duel of the Fates.
Yeah.
But I wish they got rid of the and it was just Duel of Fates.
Duel of the
like
Fates,
this song.
yeah.
That would be really... That would be a great title for a Star Wars movie. And you know what? It could still be one in these High Republic eras. We don't need it to be, just for the Skywalker saga. I think we could definitely use a Duel of Fates title.
Oh, for sure. It was a great song title when it was Duel of the Fates. So,
yeah.
But like, I think you're right. I think it's Fates. Like, it's not, saying it has to be Rey and Kylo or anybody like that. So it could be their own. I'm just excited to see where. Every time I read all this stuff, I'm just like, I need more. I need it now, but we're not getting it for a while. And with Marvel kind of on its little break too, this is torture.
Yeah.
It's like, come on.
Well, Marvel's going to be ramping up, and hopefully with the Obi-Wan, the Obi-Wan continues and it's not canceled, and then we'll be able to really start getting some more information, probably casting stuff.
Yeah.
Stuff that can really give us some good stuff to talk about. January's almost over. Are we going to get that from Kathleen Kennedy when she said that we're going to be getting a... Again, I don't know if people are blowing her words out of proportion here or taking her to say that.
Or maybe the rumor of Taika coming out is just perfect timing because it's getting ready to be unleashed upon us.
Right. Here's some updated news about Obi-Wan, actually. So let's get over to that by Anthony Breznican. He used to work for Entertainment Weekly. He used to now he works for Variety, but he always drops these. He's a big Star Wars fan, and he also has connections at Lucasfilm. If you remember, back in the days of before The Force Awakens, we had gotten a trailer of The Force Awakens on Black Friday, a year before it came out. And it's one of the best trailers ever, but it's the one where Finn pops up from the sand, and we get the Falcon flying at the end and everything. Well, about a week or so after that, I think, Anthony Breznican got this stuff from, I heard him talk about this on a podcast before, but from Lucasfilm, he got these old vintage-style Topps Star Wars cards that he was able to share to reveal these character names. So the first time we got the name Kylo Ren was on this fake Topps card that Lucasfilm made. And first time we got the name Rey, Finn, Poe, I think BB-8. That's the first time I got all these. So he broke that story. They give him all the best information. Here's what he says. When you spend all day chasing a story and it turns out not to be true, but that's a good thing, ... Raise a glass at your favorite watering hole. And then there's a picture of, I believe this is from Indiana Jones, that says Club Obi-Wan Bar. So he's obviously referring to the Obi-Wan news, saying that it's not true and that it's a good thing. I think we're in the clear. He clearly has connections. They would tell him yes or no comment, which would probably alarm him. But it seems like they're telling him no.
Yeah.
So I trust Anthony Breznican. He breaks a lot of big stories for Star Wars. So awesome.
Yeah, I feel good about that. And the good thing is too is that I think they just it just doesn't make any sense. Oh, here's another thing too. It just popped up too. Representatives confirm that Obi-Wan series is still moving forward, and totally inaccurate rumors have circulated.
Oh, where'd you see that at?
It's on Fandom. It's
okay.
it's verified pretty well, and it says representatives, close sources say that it's not via the Wrap, which is.
Oh, okay. So the Wrap is reporting that it's still a go. Yeah. That's a big trade.
And this was only 30 minutes ago.
Yeah, and then Anthony Breznican was an hour ago posting that. So I think we're in the clear. I think we're good.
I can get excited again.
We can get excited. Yes, we can get excited again. Yeah, I'm really excited. Can't wait. Oh man, this guy who's a Star Wars fan just posted. They said Twitter Movies posted a few days ago. Hit us with your most controversial movie opinion.
Oh Lord.
Here's his. The Avengers movies are overrated, bloated, and predictable popcorn films that use time travel to eliminate the worry and fear of consequence, had cheesy dialogue, and carry little to no rewatchability.
He's not rewatchable. I love those movies. I'll watch them over and over again. I think they're for the best franchise. I mean, I love Harry Potter. Don't get me wrong, but movies, I think Marvel's got them beat. I just think the books, Harry Potter books, they'll never be beat in my mind. But I don't know if the Marvel franchise and how well that was planned out and executed, I don't think we'll ever see anything like that again. Which is what Feige said. He goes, I'm hoping, my hope is that we don't see a lot of those, that the way that I, kind of patting himself on the back a little bit, but I think he even realizes how well that worked out for him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So hopefully.
I hate people that are just out there just to
anytime that you see people post like, give us your most controversial opinions, they're fishing to rile you up.
Yes.
You just can't bite into it, right? So right. I don't respond. I don't, it's
all
whatever.
Opinion. Like you loved Last Jedi. I didn't like it. Like everybody's got different taste. It's not like that's like food. That would be like saying, oh, pizza's horrible. Like there's
I tell you, I had pizza today and it was not horrible. It was very good.
Right. So I mean, it's so funny to me that people think that their opinions are more validated than others. I'm like, it doesn't mean.
Yep. You know how many times I see on Twitter, like, they'll say, Rise of Skywalker is an objectively bad movie. And I'm like, you don't know what objectively means.
Right. That's subjectively wrong.
Right.
I don't get people. I'm like, you guys are awful. That's why I hate ESPN now. I can't stand watching ESPN. It's like, it's all it is. And Fox Sports Radio, that's all it is. It's just these people that...
Yeah, it's just opinion. That's why I've shifted more to podcasts that actually break the game down and stuff, instead of just giving opinions.
Yeah, and when I went back and watched Last Jedi, it wasn't as bad as I thought it was. It's still not my favorite, but it's not, like, it's got its parts where I really liked it. Like, I love the Rey and Kylo scene. I like what Ryan... I kind of like what Ryan did with the Force connection, because that led up to what we got with... I didn't like the way that he treated Luke, because I didn't necessarily agree with that's how Luke would be. But I mean, I think looking back on it, there's still definitely qualities that made the third possible. I mean, I think that had to happen, and I don't know if we would have gotten that had Ryan not done some of that stuff.
Yeah, and again, I mean, I think what's cool about it too, right, is that would Rise of Skywalker be as good without The Last Jedi being the way it was?
No.
Because what I mean by that, too, is that we have that moment where Luke catches the lightsaber and he says, you know what, I was wrong, because he had grown. Yeah. He knew he was wrong at the end of Last Jedi. And people still misinterpret that to think that it's a knock on The Last Jedi. It's not.
No, it's like a Luke
he
thing.
actually went through that journey. You have to watch the movie again.
Right. Yeah.
So, he does agree that he's wrong. But I think if we didn't have that, I don't know if Luke's Force Ghost would have been as triumphant of a moment in that movie. I think the Force connection, like you said, is one thing that made The Last Jedi very strong was the connection between Kylo and Rey, which was planted in The Force Awakens, but really came out in The Last Jedi.
It took a whole new level.
Yeah.
Where they were able to physically touch each other and get these visions by when they reach out and he's half naked and they they basically feel each other's presence. And my favorite scene, which I think is so beautifully done in Rise of Skywalker, because I don't know much about film and filmography and how you do that, but for some reason I'm obsessed with the one. There's two instances actually. The one time when Kylo is talking to Rey and he yanks the beads off of her. Yanks them off her neck. That's a cool part. But the visual, stunning visuals. The one where she's in his ship. And he goes to strike at her, and he hits Vader's, where Vader's helmet is, and it explodes, and it drops in front of him, and he goes, "I know where you are." I was like, that's just so and it just when he hit stuff and things the colors would come out and stuff. I was like, it was so cool, how that happened, and just that wouldn't have been possible had Ryan not made that connection where it was they could physically put themselves pretty much in each other's environment. And yes, they couldn't see what was going on, but they could see each other. So I think that was
and exactly. The dyad concept became a big part of the Rise of Skywalker. Also, they talk about Ryan and Colin. I forget which one of them had talked about previously. So Ryan had told JJ that he wanted to switch something in The Force Awakens, right? Mm-hmm. Ryan says, "Can you please change BB-8 to R2-D2 at the end of The Force Awakens? I want Rey with R2 going to see Luke," right? And we knew why he wanted to do that. We got to see that with, R2 playing that message from Leia to Luke to kind of get Luke to be like, you know what? Yeah, I'll do it. I'll train her, whatever. Colin had asked Ryan for something as well. Apparently, two things. The rumor is he asked Ryan to not kill Luke. Ryan said, nope. Secondly, he asked him, can you have Rey and Poe meet at the end of Last Jedi? This makes sense now, knowing what was in the script. He wanted them to have some sort of relationship.
Yeah.
So he wanted that established where they know each other so that it's conceivable that between the time that they have had some sort of bond, I guess.
Right.
So that's very interesting. I think that's very interesting. I don't think JJ had the chance to actually ask Ryan of anything by the time he was rehired.
Yeah, I think JJ was kind of like, "Oh, you want me to do it again? Okay.
Yeah.
Let me do it again." And JJ did everything he could with it. And when people rip him, I don't get it. One, he's the nicest dude in Hollywood.
Yes, I know.
Two, it's he literally, what did you not like about it? I don't get what people's big beef is with it. I'm when I read stuff, I'm like, that doesn't make sense. They're like, well, because he took some of the stuff from Last Jedi out. I'm like, well, yeah, but you knew that was going to happen. And Ryan
didn't. That's the thing.
And that's the thing. Ryan did the exact same with Force. He kind of shifted into his own idea. And I was like, well, it's going to happen when you have different directors and storytellers. Somebody's going to take it and run with it. And he didn't ruin it, and neither did Ryan. So it was he left it where it had to be the way it was. And I'm glad because I loved the Palpatine bring back.
Right.
I am the Sith. That just made you be like, holy crap, this dude, you can't kill him.
Yeah, could you imagine if we had some other generic villain? I mean, that would be crazy.
Yeah.
Especially when that's my biggest complaint about the prequels is that yes, Palpatine I guess is the biggest evil, right? but
they're
that
bringing
we
all those
that
other
we
ones.
kill Darth Maul, and then we get Count Dooku, and then we get Grievous. Instead of just having Darth Maul be it throughout those three. I think that would have worked so much better.
Mm-hmm. Because he was so good at first. Like, he was so powerful, and then he had Obi-Wan pretty much on the rope and just loses it. But I agree with you. It's like, I didn't like following three different people. Even Dooku would have been, if they would have just expanded his storyline more. He was just kind of there, and he's kind of an ass. But
the issue with that, though, is that Christopher Lee was like 82 playing Count Dooku.
Well, that was always brilliant. Yoda's like 500.
900, actually.
Sorry, 900.
Get it right. We host a Star Wars podcast. Here comes the flood of emails and
crap. My bad.
From our
I'm so
one
sorry.
listener. Thanks, Matt. We know it's 900.
Yeah. Matt, you probably didn't even know that.
Oh man. I was gonna say something else. I totally forget now. It was something about that. No, it's fine. It was something about the movie. I just had it on the tip of my tongue here. No, I think it had something to do with the bad guys, though, like you said, like we were saying.
I know what you're saying. You were saying how you were talking about like how random it would have been to have some kind of just random leader like all of a sudden come out of the woodwork.
To have another one. People complain about it as it is, and what I was gonna say is, like you said, Ryan did toss some stuff from The Force Awakens, right? Like, people seem to focus on this idea that JJ didn't like The Last Jedi, which, by all accounts, he says he has, and he said that before it was even made. Okay, he said he had, like, when he had read the script, he praised it, while he was still doing The Force Awakens. So that seems to be false.
Yeah.
Now, they set up in The Force Awakens that Rey is a somebody, right? Mm-hmm. Everybody's asking who she is. Maz says, who is she? They cut away when Han answers. You get The Last Jedi, and no, she's a nobody. But nobody freaked out about that to the level they are about now reversing that to say she is a somebody.
Right.
Again, people say about the lightsaber toss by Luke, or the catch in him saying this needs more respect. That's not a knock on The Last Jedi. That's Luke's growth. I think you have to watch that. Other than that, I can't really think of. People talk about like the Holdo maneuver, where she does the light speed into the ship.
Mm-hmm.
They don't really say anything bad about it. They just kind of explain why they can't do that again, which they have to do, or else everybody will be like, well, why don't they just do that again?
Right.
So I don't know what else you do with this movie. I get people saying Rose maybe, right?
Yeah.
But there really isn't enough room, I don't think.
Plus, and I think her scene I think JJ was trying to do her a service by placing her in the care of Carrie Fisher. Like, I think.
And apparently they cut a lot of those scenes too because of just timing.
Even like 8 hours long. If you had constant like Rose, and Rose has like her storyline, like it's built to where like she
pretty much, to be honest,
she would need more time.
Her storyline, I would say, for me, as somebody that likes the character, is mostly over at the end of Last Jedi.
Mm-hmm.
So she was a technician, right, for the Resistance, and then she looks up to these heroes like Finn and Rey. She finds out her heroes are not what she thought they were, kind of like Rey going through that with Luke at that same moment.
Right.
She then kind of shows Finn that because Finn at that point was just, I need to save Rey. He didn't care about the Resistance, obviously. And we saw that in The Force Awakens, so that's not some sort of pivot. In The Force Awakens, he says to Han, I'm only going to save Rey.
Yeah.
So at that point, he's still at that moment. Just because he fought Kylo Ren with a lightsaber doesn't mean he's all gung-ho about this at that moment. She then shows him the evils of, corporations, the galaxy, whatever, and shows that there's something worth fighting for. And now I feel like that was her plot. She then moved up to being a regular resistance fighter. She's no
Yeah.
longer the technician. She's on the front lines. She's side by side with Leia, as you said, and she helped Finn wake up and see that there's more to it than just being about saving your friends. It's about the whole galaxy as a whole.
Right.
And where else does she go from there?
Right.
I don't think there's much more to go.
No, and I equate it to like, so for instance, the girl that plays the disguise for Padme, like
Keira Knightley.
yeah, like yeah, exactly. Like okay, well then I'm mad because she didn't get much of a part. That's kind of the play, you know. She plays a pretty big role in that, and she keeps it close to chest. That with Anakin, and just there's certain people in the movies that I can make a case for. I'm like, well, there's some people that think Jar Jar's great and that he should have had more, and he just kind of disappears into the second and third movie.
Right.
Like you don't see him except when he does when he does claim that they don't have the powers anymore to trust each other, and it's like, well, okay, like the vote of no confidence was basically Rose's hanging out with Leia. Like that was, but I think she got an even better role because I think she got to at least be part of it, and you got to see her with Carrie and Leia and Billy,
Right.
and I think that's a big moment.
And
I think JJ was trying to see that, and they think that he was trying to be a dick, but I was like, he wasn't. He was clearly trying to get her involved because I think her storyline was done.
At Celebration, he says that was the best thing Ryan did was hire Kelly Marie Tran. Yes. So he obviously is a big fan of her. It's just trying to fit everybody in. And if you look at what was originally going to be their plot on Coruscant, it's almost identical to what they had just done on Canto Bight.
In Last Jedi. Yep.
So it feels like a retread at that moment. Mm-hmm. So I can see why JJ walks in, he reads this, and he's like, I gotta tweak this a bit to being,
a different movie.
Finn meets the stormtroopers that are rebelling on a different planet. Mm-hmm. It's Janna now instead of some guy that he connects with. He just changed that stuff around a bit and said that, well, we don't need Rose at this moment. She's going to be part of, Leia's team. Mm-hmm. And I think that's fine. I don't think it always goes as deep as people like to think it does with anti this, anti that type of thing.
No. So it's not something that you would put into storytelling, especially JJ. Like, it's not something he's sitting there going, you know what, Rose doesn't have much screen time and the freaking people are going to think I'm racist. I'm not sure he's thinking that. He's thinking, how can I
He's thinking story-wise, character-wise.
How can I finish this story in a way that's going to satisfy the most people?
And in 2 hours and 20 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah. Because you don't have the attention span to go 3 hours and 3.5 hours. Like, what else would you have done? Like, yeah, there's some people that would have loved to see 3.5, but like, then you would get the complaints of that was too long and she was kind of drawn out. Because then you got the other side that don't like her, like me. Like, I don't really care to have her as a big part of the story because I don't think her story fits with. And I wanted to see the main group together because that's what was supposed to happen. It was kind of mirroring Han, Luke, and Leia. Right. Like, I wanted to see that, but now they got Chewie with them, so it was like great parallel to that story that I grew up and loved as a child. Like, that's what I wanted to see, and it happened, and it worked out so well because they did. They each were battling their own things because you saw each of them. You saw Rey with Kylo, and you saw Poe with what's her name? What's the girl's name that Poe's like?
Zori Bliss?
Yeah, Zori. Yeah. So, and then you see Finn, Finn's got his problem with being the deserter of the First Order, so he's fighting that. And then when he runs into the deserted, it's like, well, there you go. Like, they all have their little parts. Han, he was trying to desert at times. He's like, dude, you got me in this mess. I just want out of it. I don't want to fight. Like, I'm not fighting the Empire, you stupid. That was the same way Finn was. Finn's like, I'm not fighting that, you stupid. And then you had Poe, who's this like crazy fighter, like great leader and stuff like that. And I feel like he embodies the same kind of stuff Carrie does. And I think that's why he and Carrie don't get along because they're the exact same person. So it's, it just had that parallel where then you throw Kelly in and it's like, where's her place? Like, Is she a mechanic? Like, she's just gonna be working on the ship? Like, what's she gonna be doing? What's her point? So, it wouldn't have made sense.
Well, I think that's most of our show here.
Yeah.
I'm glad we were able to go through that whole Obi-Wan roller coaster.
That was great.
During the show here. So by the time this comes on,
eyes.
people will be like, "Well, that was a thing? I don't even know there was a thing."
I should probably be checking Disney Plus. That might be streaming or how.
Oh yeah. Surprise! He didn't drop out. It's just over already. We already did it. But yes, let me get some of those sweet handles out for you. If you want to tell us your thoughts on this Obi-Wan roller coaster, you can contact us at Twitter at PodAwakens. If you want to ask us questions like, hey, do you like the title The Duel of the Fates or Rise of Skywalker better? You can reach us at facebook.com/PodAwakens. If you're like, hey, I wonder what these guys look like outside of the screen, you can see us on Instagram at PodAwakens, which currently actually has no pictures of us. And email us at podawakens@gmail.com.
If you want to know why we don't like Cursed Child.
Yeah, email us and we'll give you the full Cursed Child rant. We'll record a special episode just for you. Yeah. So thank God Jack Thorne didn't get to keep writing this movie. Well, that is about it. We will catch you all next time, and may the Force be with you.